session 4 of Why Jesus. And today we look at the Israelites arriving at Mount Sinai. And it's here that God makes his covenant with the people. They camped in front of the mountain, and God called Moses up the mountain to meet him. And he said, "You yourselves have seen what I did in Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." It's Exodus 19:5. When Moses told the people what God had said, they agreed to obey him, and so all was prepared for the covenant to be made. Moses told the people to wash themselves and to wash their clothes, and they did so. On the third day, a thick cloud descended on the mountain with thunder and lightning, and the people were very afraid. And Moses had warned them that no one was to go near the mountain, no one was to touch the mountain, because on that mountain was the very presence of God. Only Moses could go up, and it's here that God gave him the 10 Commandments, but also many other instructions on how he wanted his people to live. Then he said to Moses that an angel would go ahead of them and lead them to the land that he'd promised, and if they obeyed the angel of God, then the way would open up for them to reach that land. So this was the covenant that God was making with the nation of Israel. And to seal the covenant, Moses built an altar in front of the mountain, and they made burnt offerings, so they slaughtered many bulls. And Moses took half the blood and put it in bowls. The other half he sprinkled all over the altar. And then he took the writings of all that God had commanded him, and he read them to the people. And then the people said this, "We will do everything the Lord has said, we will obey." So Moses took the blood that was in the bowls and he sprinkled it on the people and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words." Now a covenant sealed in blood was a binding covenant. And God and Israel had made this binding covenant. And from then on, the people of Israel were to live as a people set apart. A people whose lives were to be holy, different from other nations, because they were to display God to the nations around them. They were to be a nation of priests, and priests are the mediators between God and people. They were commanded to wear tassels on their robe to remind them that they belonged to God and that they had promised to live a holy life. The sealing of a covenant in blood was a serious thing, because it's saying that anyone who broke that covenant would have their own blood shed. A covenant was not something that you broke with impunity. And so here was God's plan to restore the relationship between himself and people. And he was again using human beings as his instruments to do this. These are very early days of his plan, but a plan that is still relevant to us today.
Who, O Lord, could save themselves? Their own soul could heal. Our shame was deeper than the sea. Your grace is deeper still. And you alone can rescue. You alone can save. You alone can lift us from the grave. You came down to find us, let us out of death. To you alone belong the highest praise. You To you alone belong the highest praise. We lift up our eyes, you're the giver of life. We lift up our eyes, you're the giver of life. We lift up our eyes, you're the giver of life. We lift up our eyes, you're the giver of life. You alone can rescue, you alone can save. You alone can lift us from the grave. You came down to find us, let us out of death. To you alone belongs the highest praise.